Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of HR Mining with the Roots. With great honor, our today's guest is all the way from Canada. So I would like to welcome Mr. Baghir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your invitation. Happy to be here.
And thank you so much for being here. And he's currently working as Global People and Cultural Director. He's working as a coach and HR leader in times of transformation.
Absolutely correct. Very long title. I usually just say, people and culture.
Yeah, it's a long one, by the way.
long one. But
oh, mashallah, you've done great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so Mr. Baghir, with such a massive experience in HR and especially with oil and gas industry with big giants, I would like to say, how do you see these transformations coming up in few months? How do you see these transformations, especially in pandemic?
No, appreciate the question, and as I said, always great to be here and have an opportunity to share my views. I guess this is my disclaimer to say this is my personal views. So I know people agree and people disagree, but I'll share what I think about stuff, and welcome to hear some feedback or some comments or some conversations, and happy to follow up afterwards. My 2 cents on transformation nowadays is very much, I like to keep things simple. So I think there's things related to pandemic, and there are things related to generic transformation that is driven by the technology and the evolvement of the world. So I look at the pandemic and COVID as a short term. So I look at this as something that people and companies adjust in the short term to understand how to go through and survive where we are now.
Right.
I do believe that transformation is more of a long-term view. So definitely did COVID or pandemic in a way supported the transformation or supported to speed it up? Absolutely. We've seen that. But I do believe that transformation is something just bigger and above pandemic. It's a transformation that comes with the technology involvement. Its confirmation comes with the culture involvement, the transformation that is driven by the next generation of people who join the workforce now with absolutely different values of what they want to do. So if you tell me what do I think for the next several months, I mean, in no way I'm an official predictor or the guy who can tell you the future. But in my view, I think that we will see some adaptation and some more understanding in terms of where we're going, in terms of what the future is. And we'll start to see companies to move from, reaction to pandemic to building the long-term strategy for work. And I think companies are doing that. All companies are doing that. It's just the point of, when and how.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as an expert in HR business partnering, what do you want to suggest to HR leaders out there so that they can align their business requirements with the global HR strategies?
So I guess my advice to everyone within HR world is the same advice I would give to myself. And I'm a big guy to give advices to myself. I'm not sure how great they are, but definitely sometimes they're pretty good. I like to say that now the biggest advice for HR, not only HR, but the leaders, and it's very specific to any time, but in transformation mainly, is the listening. It's not about hearing. It's not about thinking about response when people an organization talks to you. It's about having ability to stay silent and to do active listening and understanding what you're hearing. I think this is probably my biggest advice to HR community now is let's listen. And the second of all, let's be curious. Let's be curious about what's happening around, curious about where the world's going. Let's be curious about the innovations that are happening. I think, I don't know why in most of the organizations, at least in my experience, when you talk to different HR professions, people react differently. But all the time, the perception that HR is something confidential. You cannot share it outside of the company. Oh my God, this police on vacation will go out, or this. And I actually think that we got to treat it as safety. We got to share. We got to share the great practice. We got to build HR communities around the globe. We got
Right.
to strive for the same, because at the end of the day, a lot about the wellness, a lot about people, a lot about motivation is driven by HR. A lot about the collective
Exactly.
success is driven by HR. So I'm a big
Mm.
guy to create a community, to have an open communication. So I
Right.
would summarize by saying, please listen, stay curious, be open to network, and be open to be part of the bigger community. And let's make this working business a better place for people to work.
Thank you so much. So I'm sure with so much challenges across the industry at the moment, how do you see organizations and companies adopting these transformations, or, in times of change, how they can manage to handle these things?
Hey, if I would have a recipe, I would probably be in a Forbes 500 somewhere, top billionaire guys. I don't think there's a recipe to saying, how that's the way to make things happen. I don't think
Yeah.
there's a way to say that is the formula. If you do A, B, and C, you're going to make it. If you don't do C, you're not going to make it. I don't believe in that. I think every company has its own DNA as people. Every
Yeah.
company has its own culture. Every
Right.
company has its own, behavior expectations,
Exactly.
leadership values. So I would really say that uh, it's very much depend on each of the company. I wouldn't
Right.
really say formula for everyone. Again, my always advice, I will repeat what I just answered in my previous question, but I would say it's all about listening. Whether you're in HR, whether you're organization, what is organization? It's amount of people,
Right.
who shares, hopefully, who shares the same values.
Right.
That drives the behaviors. And when
True.
behaviors are there, you get an experience. And when I get an experience, that's what the culture is. It's not the posters on the wall. It's a very
Right.
clear chain. It's the value, behaviors, experience, and that brings it back to the culture. So I think it's for organization. My advice is let's listen, let's adjust, let's be agile, let's be flexible, and let's be open and honest.
True. I think this is very important, to be honest and open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So let's talk about HR coaching at the moment. Do you think HR leaders need any special coaching at the moment to deal with the pandemic worldwide?
Yeah. Let's not forget that HR is also people. Yeah. So we, as people in sales or people in marketing or people in manufacturing, will also
Right.
see something we've never seen. We'll also have
Right.
families. So we're all people. So everyone
Right.
goes through this times very, in a very unique way. Let me put it that way. I think that does HR needs to have a coaching, specific coaching? I would say we all need to be having some coaching continuously, because it all comes to the
Exactly.
moment you stop learning, you stop
Right.
living. So
Exactly.
I would say that absolutely. Let's move on. Let's make sure that we develop. And whether coaching something that works for you, great. Whether it's
Right.
reading books, whether it's networking, whether it's
Right.
research by own, whether it's reflection, it's different way of development. But I do believe that we continuously do that. And in nowadays, if you coming back to question for HR nowadays, absolutely. I think that we are realizing that we need to start thinking about ideas that we never thought we would do by now.
Good.
For example, we need really to understand what do we mean, or what will it fit for organizations where we work when we talk about bringing and introducing flexibility. How
Right.
flexible you can be. I can be flexible in one way in the industry of manufacturing, for example.
Right.
People in media might be absolutely in a different, have a different meaning for the word flexibility. So I think that those are things, flexibility. I think we have to really start to think about innovation and technology. I mean, there's so much great technology in the world that I feel like we in HR are not definitely the first adopters. We're probably not the last adopters, late adopters, but we're somewhere in the middle of the patch. So we don't go
Right.
and say, oh, this is new technology, let's do that. But I think now time is okay. Are we really walking in time with technology development? or we're not. So specifically, I would say that I don't think there's one area for HR to be coached on. I think
Right.
as we need to continue to be ears and eyes of organization. We need to listen. We need to watch, and we need to stay curious.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So my fifth question to you is how we can build capability for the future through robust talent management strategies.
Okay, so that's definitely is a bit of the answer to in your question. I think it's very interesting the way you put it. Is how do we build it through robust talent management? I think talent management is important. That's the way you build it. But I think there's a couple of things to notify. Number one is what is the workforce of future? Who are you hiring? Who would be
Right.
in demand? What skills do we need? I think we start to see next generations, especially generation born after 2005, to move from education value to skill value. It's not about what piece of paper you have in your hand. It's about what actually you can do. That's
Right.
what's going to matter. So that's, for example, is one of the big items. I think that as organizations, we need to start to be clear what's the future of organization, which direction we're going, and what skills we need, and start to work from the beginning. When I say from the beginning, I mean from high schools. We got to put
Right.
our name out there. We got to start high schools providing opportunities throughout the universities. We've seen in pandemic a lot of organizations said, okay, I don't have spaces, I'm laying off, I'm not hiring any students. Though
Right.
do understand this approach, I probably am a big fan that will always need a fresh blood injection. So
Right.
maybe not in the volumes that you do usually, but some is really needed.
Right.
And one thing that I would say, let's move away from that is let's have
Right.
talent management on a piece of paper.
Right.
Write down, doing succession planning once a year, twice a year, and then maybe having another meeting to say, this might tick in the box. I'm using names: John,
Right.
Mike, Muhammad, some other people, Elizabeth. They're my great performers. Okay, on
Right.
piece of tomorrow when the job comes, how do
Right.
we use that? How do we really go back to the piece of paper and say, oh, these guys and ladies have been identified. Why not? We are targeting them. So I think that once we move talent strategy and talent development from a piece of paper to the conversation to a continuous dialogue, we're going to be
Right.
great. And for the leaders and HR, I always say it's about 3 no. 3 no. Know your
Right.
people. You have
Exactly.
to know your people in and
Your
out
people.
as leaders.
True.
Know what they want and what you think is part of
Right.
their development plan and what they want to become and what needs to be there,
Right.
and then know how they're doing throughout their plan that they're working on, like how what do they do to close the gap and how you can help them, and are you helping them, and are they on top. So I think
Right.
it's a lot about knowing, and knowing comes, and I love to summarize, and that's probably my key message throughout all this conversation is it's about listening. The more you listen, the more curious you are, the more you know. And information, we all know, is a power.
Thank you so much. Amazing. So, since my last question to you is, since pandemic has taken a major hit on the industries, on the jobs, on the organizations, so how do you see this job market changing in near future?
Prepare for worst, be ready for best.
Right.
So I say that I am positive. I think I'm positive because I do feel that everyone who will be interested to join the any industry within the business, everyone will be successful. I think it's a matter
Right.
of. So I would never say, "Oh my God, there's so shortage of jobs, people panic." No, if you're really working hard, you will get what you want. I think yes, there will be diversion of skills.
Exactly.
The skills that will be needed might be a bit different. What was popular in demand 3 years ago would not be popular in demand 4 years after. Let's look at that. Now,
Right.
how how popular are old, I don't know, Nokia or Ericsson phones. I remember from my childhood. It's all Apples
Yeah,
and
yeah,
great. Yes.
exactly.
Same
Mm,
happens with the skill set. It's evolvement. So I would say that yes, there might be evolvement, but anyone who's looking for the job, I'm pretty sure will be able to land one. I think that the horizons are pretty great, but we have to be ready that the different skill set might be in more demand than others. We might start to see shortage in some. I think they will be more related to data technology, to
right,
manipulating with data, to artificial intelligence, and
right,
we'll start to see some skills are being reshaped. HR, for example, from day to day transaction, we'll see more and more organization being able to use technology to allow their HR employees to really focus on strategic tasks and really drive value by, for example, helping talent strategists and develop great.
exactly, exactly. Thank you so much, Baghir, for being here. I'm truly humbled and honored to have this discussion with you. And really, I must say thank you so much for these insights. I'm proud to see HR leaders like you around the globe who are helping and ready to motivate other people.
No, I appreciate that. I want to say thank you for creating the channel. As I understand, you told me you've created to help people throughout the pandemic. So I know that everyone's got different preferences, but I'm sure you've got your audience who finds a great bit of fresh air in this. I hope that
Thank you so
people
much.
enjoyed what we've talked about. And as I said, I'm not a massive social media guy, but I do have a big presence in LinkedIn. So if people interested to debate, I like to hear different views and
Wow.
to listen. So if people don't agree with something or agree, I would welcome them to join and let's have conversation.
Right. Thank you so much. And I would like to have another session with you again and sometime soon.
Always,
We can
always,
share on different topics, definitely.
absolutely. Hopefully, after pandemic, when we can focus on something really, really positive and have a great conversation.
Definitely.
Yes,
Thank you so much for your precious time. And once again, thank you so much for being here.
great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Take care. Cheers. Have a great day.